Okay, I've been holding out on making this video for a little while now, in part because life has been getting in the way, but mostly because I know I'll probably cop some flack for what I'm about to say. The biggest videos on my pretty tiny channel are my Warframe videos. They're the ones that I put the most time into and are the ones I'm actually the most proud of. And that makes me sad because unfortunately I just can't really bring myself to play the game anymore. Even after sinking hundreds of hours and hundreds of dollars into the game, I think my time, for now at least, with Warframe has come to an end. And before you hit that dislike button or flame me in the comments, please just hear me out. It all started just under a year ago. Warframe launched on the Nintendo Switch, and I thought, well, playing a grindy looter game on the go while I'm away from work or even in bed would be like a dream come true. And it was. For just under 300 hours, I smashed, slammed, zapped, and zipped my way through Warframe, having an absolute blast. But in April this year, I had 5 long weeks off the game while on my honeymoon, and ever since, try as I might, I just can't bring myself to play it again. First of all, let me be clear, I do enjoy the game. It's actually really fun. From the main campaign and then into the kind of in-game grind, I really enjoyed myself. So much so that within the first 20 to 30 hours, I really wanted to support the developers and purchased the Prime Pack, and then went on to purchase some Platinum here and there. And maybe that's kind of where the mistakes, for me at least, started. Not in terms of supporting the developers, but buying into the sort of speed up mechanics that they provide. I'm the type of person that when it comes to looter, grindy style games, I want to be up there with the best. I want to get that sweet loot, those tasty mods, and those sexy skins. As I grow older, I find myself increasingly time poor, so with Warframe I thought, well, if I'm going to play it, I want to maximize my time with it. So I'll buy those resource and experience boosters, I'll shortcut the grind a little bit to get a prime here and there, and that's totally fine. That was kind of my decision to help support the developers for what I thought was a really solid game. And also, if you do that and you're happy to do that, then honestly, more power to you. Like, there's absolutely no judgment being thrown at anyone that wants to do that kind of thing. But I think that's where the cracks started to appear for me. The problem is, and please don't yell at me, Warframe is a pay-to-win game. No, there is no way to win at Warframe, but the objective of the game is to grow in power and kill things faster and look hot while doing it. So winning at Warframe is having the best gear, having the coolest skins, having the top tier mods fully leveled up, having those insanely rare ribbons. You get the idea. And how do you speed up your acquisition of all those things? Well, you either play a shitload or you pay some money. You pay to, in this scenario, win. Hopefully you get where I'm coming from, and again, it isn't necessarily a bad thing. It's a free-to-play game after all, the devs have to make their money somewhere. But in all honesty, I think they've gone a bit too far with their monetization in a few areas. Mainly the boosters, Orokin reactors and catalysts, and the infamous Riven mod system, which is honestly a bit of a joke. Also, fairly recently, the devs decided to nerf looter frames like Necros and Hydroid, and then followed that up with the introduction of a new booster for mod drop chance, which to be fair I haven't experienced either of, but it's starting to get a bit sneaky here. First of all, we should probably talk about the catalysts and reactors, or potatoes as the community likes to call them. These items are 100% required in any frame or weapon beyond a certain point in the game, let's say like mid-game. They double the mod capacity in their respective gear piece, and without them, that piece of gear is honestly utterly trash. But the game is like a toddler with candy when it comes to dishing them out. In my 300 hours of playtime, I could probably count the number of times on one hand that I've received a reactor or catalyst from the game. And that's no exaggeration. Almost all of the potatoes in my weapons and frames were purchased with Platinum. Unless something has drastically changed in the last few months, if you want to use a variety of gear in Warframe, which is basically the entire point of playing the game, then you're going to need to shell out for some Platinum, or at least earn that Platinum in game. But to do that, you're going to need to grind quite a bit, and honestly, Platinum grinding is freaking boring. And personally, I thought, I don't have the time to do this. I'm just gonna spend a little bit of money and speed the process up. So I did. And then there's the boosters. There's experience, resource, rare item, credit, and now mod drop chance boosters. And all of these double their respective things. So double the experience, double the resources, double the chance for a mod to drop. Want to half the time spent leveling something up? Buy an experience booster. Want to grind out some resources super quick? Chuck on a resource booster. Can't get that damn rare mod? Mod drop chance booster. Unlike the potatoes, these are by no means mandatory. You can easily get by without them. The problem is, you'll get a taste for them when the game gives you a 3-hour booster here or there, and just like a good crack addict, once you have a taste, you'll be hooked. Maybe it's just me, I do have an addictive personality after all, but once I was playing with those boosters active, it was incredibly hard to play without them. It all comes back to satisfaction factor when playing these types of grindy games. If you get stuff too slow, it feels boring and unsatisfying to play. Get things at a good pace and you'll never want to put it down. You always feel like you're making progress. And I feel like Digital Extremes, the developers, have tuned things to feel that way intentionally. I don't necessarily think they are a bad or malicious company, but at the end of the day, they have a huge game to support. The hosting and salary costs alone must be astronomical. They have to make money, and they want you to spend money. One way to do that is to push you towards boosters to make the game feel more comfy. The mod drop chance booster, on the other hand, I feel like is a step too far and feels a little bit scummy, to be honest. And I'm not alone in this feeling. Essentially what happened is DE nerfed looter frames, which are frames used for farming materials basically, under the guise of it being a bug fix, and then subsequently released a booster to fix their bug fix. Even worse is the booster isn't directly purchasable, but grouped with a Prime accessories pack which costs $50 US. You can also earn them in game from the daily sortie challenge at a roughly 10% drop chance, or purchase them from a fortnightly dealer when it shows up, but still, it honestly doesn't sit very well with me. So, getting to the point, I started to feel a bit uneasy about paying for these things. I started to feel like it was basically mandatory to purchase these boosters and other items to feel like I was having a good experience with the game. And those are the cracks that I'm referring to. I don't regret any of the money or time that I put into Warframe at all, and in no way am I saying that it was wasted. But feeling like I had to spend more and more money to enjoy the game has really put me off picking it back up again. Again, these are my personal feelings and you may feel completely different, but for someone with only 8 to 10 hours a week on a good week to spend playing, I just don't think Warframe is the game for me anymore. And that's really sad. Warframe is a fantastic game. The campaign missions, especially the new war, are decent. It's extremely satisfying to fly through levels melting enemies, and on a surface level, all the systems in place work pretty well. I got to quote-unquote endgame and beat the triple Eidolon bounty with some clanmates. I made kit guns and Zors. I got over a dozen weapons in a dozen frames and had a great time leveling them all up, making builds, watching hours and hours of YouTube and trolling Reddit to research what other people were running and realize that I basically had none of the shit I needed, and all that other cool stuff that comes with a looter style game. But at the end of the day, there are just so many other looters out there that aren't so demanding of your time or your wallet. Just to name one, Monster Hunter World. The only money I've spent on that game is buying the base game and expansion, and you can get both of those at the moment for around $60 US. These games are extremely rich in content. I've put in at least 300 hours, and that's honestly a drop in the bucket compared to many other hunters out there. And there are no microtransactions, like I haven't seen one, to unlock or boost anything. All of the monsters and weapons must be earned with time, and in no way can be purchased. And that brings me to my next point, the feeling of winning, the feeling of satisfaction of having high level gear that you worked for. That feeling just doesn't really exist in Warframe. It's all about power, and in Warframe, someone that spent 2,000 hours or $2,000 might very well be on an equal playing field. And again, that's totally fine if you're into that, but that sort of defeats the purpose for me. So, to answer the question, was it all worth it? I'd probably say yes. But there are caveats. One thing I didn't talk about was the release cycle and game performance on the Switch. In hindsight, I really wish I had played on PC or Xbox One. The fantasy of on-the-go grinding is great and all, but I just really didn't find it that good to play in handheld, which meant most of the time was spent playing in docked mode. At that point, I would much rather be playing on a more powerful machine, and on the release cycle, the Switch seems to be the last platform to get patch updates, so you'd see something cool come out on PC and have to wait weeks or months for it. I absolutely recommend you at least give Warframe a try. It's free after all, on every platform. But I would be hesitant to sink any serious time or money into it. I found that the game got pretty stale around the 300 mark. That's still a huge amount of time, but without a big shake-up, I don't see that staleness disappearing anytime soon. The gameplay variety just isn't there for me, and that's one of the major factors holding me back from returning. So I'm going to leave it there. I've had a great time with Warframe and look forward to tracking its development. No doubt something will pull me back in the future, but for now, my time is done. Hit me up in the comments or on Twitter if you've had similar experiences or if you think I'm totally off the mark. And thanks for watching if you made it this far. I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.